Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Game Pearson here today, and today I will be talking to you about the language and culture of the country Canada for my Comm 263 class, taught by Professor Larson. So let's get right into it. The language and how it influences the culture of the Canadian culture, the politeness of it in general. Canadian culture is very polite in everything they do. You don't never really want to make yourself imposing, so the phrases and a lot of just a lot of it's a lot more of accepting culture than it is anywhere else, because it had more like different countries' origins, French origins. Half the country still speaks French here today, and Quebec and Montreal and those and Ottawa, all those cities back east in the some parts of Ontario, but mostly or more or less Quebec. And so that from the jump, it was really accepting into other languages and other people bringing their languages into the Canadian culture and creating it as one. And then what makes it the Canadian influence interesting on the English language is it's a lot different English spoken up here than it is down in the United States. The United States is more upfront, formal. Direct. Get your point across very easily. While Canadian language is more laid back. It's a lot different. Has a lot more different perspectives. It's a much more European origin than any other English speaking country, well, besides like England and Great Britain, but it gets more of its origins from the European style than any place in North America, is what I was meaning to say. I'm sorry about that. Um, and how it is very different than any other country in North America. It speaks in its way as English. You'll be using it instead of flavor, it's flavor. The way it's spelled, Flavor. Center. The R and the E are actually switch places. And I'm actually in the whole culture in itself. I have a brisk can here today, and half will say it'll say half and half in English, and then the other half will say it's in French. It's in monte. So, that's just their acceptance, their history of the French language being relevant in the country of Canada. Three well-known sayings in Canada. It's a lot different than America. The word "a" in itself. How's it going today? It's not too bad outside, eh? That just is just giant Canadian culture a lesson in itself. The Canadians are not really an imposing culture. It's more of a laid back. You speak first, and when I'll speak when I'm spoken to, and I'll be polite about it. It makes any statement you say passive. That's the best thing. That's the best way I could describe the word "a" and how it's translates into the English. It makes any statement you say passive. So instead of saying like, "Oh, the weather's not looking too bad outside," like that's a statement. Oh, the weather's not looking too bad outside. It poses off as a question and less demanding, and that's what the Canadian culture is all about. You have a thing called a 2K, which is only relevant in Canada. I don't have one right now. It's summertime up here. Sorry. So, it's a winter hat. The winter is basically, I'd say, 8 months out of the year up here. You don't really get much, like seasons. We'll maybe get like a 3 week season of fall, and that's just basically just snow coming down. And then spring is it's kind of a trickster. Spring is basically snow's melting, but then you will not be shocked at all if it snows the next day. So you don't really get spring up here. The next saying is a double double. That's actually a coffee saying. I'm actually from the state of Washington, and Starbucks and Dutch Bros and all of them be relevant where I'm from. I had never heard of this saying before I came up here. And double double is actually it's just a coffee with 2 creamers and 2 sugars. And so when I ever go and ask if you have cream and sugar, they'd look at me really weird and just not understand why I didn't just ask for a double double in the first place. And then so how Canadian culture is different in the whole origins of everything. According to Thomas Rogers, the French influence and the British influence had a tremendous effect to it. Back in the day when the colonists were arriving, you got about 50,000 loyalists to the crown moving to Canada in the Eastern Front, and the Native Canadians didn't really like that, so most of the Native Canadians moved out west to the British Columbia provinces. But that was also a lot of French and British clashing, but it also ended up into making one absolutely great like English language, and it was absolutely phenomenal. So you actually came up with great English language. Also according to Jules Barre, a French person who takes a look on the French side of the English language in Canada. The French influence in Canada is absolutely tremendous. You still have everybody basically, French immersion schools here. You have everybody who can basically speaks French up here. In America, you have the Spanish, the French, the Chinese, the Japanese, the Russian, the Italians. The you have everybody coming in from America. While the Canadians really have two primary origins of places they come from, and that's really French and British origins. But the British origins, speaking on that, you have a lot of people from India, from Australia, from New Zealand, from Africa. All those British colonies loyal to the crown were granted immunity in different countries. So a lot of people saw their escape from their country and ability to go somewhere else and be accepted from a different country was Canada, and Canada was their reconcile, was their freedom, and so Canada as itself was a very accepting country, and it created this general culture of where you have friends from all walks of life, from everywhere in the world, all combining as one in order one goal, and that's be a great country and be a great neighbor to each other, and that's the country of Canada. That is it. Just have a great day out there, eh?